everyone and welcome to our Melbourne Olando International Airport overview video. If you've been following along with our vlog series, you'll have seen that we've just recently got back from 1 week in Orlando, and as you might have worked out from the title of this video, we flew into Melbourne Olando Airport, which is the airport that TUI have just recently started using. So this video is going to give you all the information you may want or need to know before you head out to Florida. For those of you that are following along with our weekly vlog series, they're going to be uploaded as usual this Sunday, so this video is in addition to that, but here's a quick look at what's coming up in today's video. So the chances are you're here today because you've either got a TUI holiday booked to Florida or you're considering it and just wondering kind of what the airport's going to be like. Well, the first thing to say is, although it says Orlando in the title, this airport is definitely not in Orlando. It's about 75 miles or so to the east of Orlando, so it's a long way away. And so if you've previously flown with TUI into Florida, you'll have flown into an airport called Sanford. Now in 2019, TUI announced that from this year, so 2022, they'll be moving their operations and their 150,000 passengers a year will be flying into a pretty unheard of airport called Melbourne. Now there's a reason you've probably never heard of Melbourne Airport, and that's because apart from TUI, only 3 other airlines fly there, and they're all US domestic carriers. And it serves about 500,000 passengers a year. Now to put that into context, Sanford is about 6 times more at 3 million a year, and MCO is almost 100 times more at 45 million passengers a year. So TUI have said the relocation to Melbourne Airport from Sanford was purely down to making it more convenient for cruise passengers in order to be closer to the ports and to make their life a little bit easier. Now that may well be true. However, that comes at the inconvenience of people going to Disney World, Universal, SeaWorld and all those other parks. And I'll put a map up in just a few seconds to kind of show you what that difference looks like compared to both MCO, which is the main international airport, and Sanford. Now the sceptical side of me says actually TUI probably just got a much cheaper deal for flying out of Melbourne and moving their operations out there. But rather than saying they're lying in their pockets at our inconvenience, what they thought is we'll put this nice spin on it. Actually, it's all about our cruise passengers. So putting the map up on the screen now, you can see that the hearts in the middle of the picture are major theme parks in Orlando. So we've got Disney World there, we've got Universal, and we've got SeaWorld. And just to the right of that, the first star you come to is MCO, or Orlando International Airport. Now that's about 14 miles away from International Drive, so really convenient, really easy to get to, and that's the airport that both Virgin and British Airways use on a daily basis. Just to the north of that, maybe quite a little bit more to the north, you've got another star, which is Sanford Airport, so that's the airport that TUI used to fly to. And on the far right hand side of the screen, you can see a little green dot, and that is Melbourne Airport. So to put that into context, that is twice the distance away that Sanford Airport is, and it's about 5 times further away than MCO. So it's a much longer journey than what it would be if you were flying into the main international airports. Now, that doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination, mean that Melbourne is a bad airport to fly to. In fact, we had a really good experience in many ways. So stay tuned to find out a little bit about what that was, how long it's going to take you to get through the airport. You'll see some of our clips, and hopefully it'll give you a good idea of what flying into Melbourne Airport may look like. So you're about 8 or so hours into your flight now, you're just about starting your descent, and this is where my first tip for Melbourne Airport would come into it, and that's if you can sit on the right hand side of the aircraft, because the views are going to be far superior to what you're going to get on the left. You're going to see that Florida coast and it's going to look unbelievable from the air, so if you can, sit on the right hand side of the aircraft. And I would normally kind of say the opposite when it comes to flying into airports, especially into MCO, if you want to be sat on the left, but with Melbourne Airport, one of the key differences is actually you get your bags before you go through immigration, so there isn't the mad rush of getting off the plane, because ultimately it's a bit of a luck of the draw. Whoever's bags come off first means they're going to be the first people going through immigration. Now, I know there are some horror stories of MCO and what the immigration can be like there. maybe because of the tip I just mentioned about normally sitting on the left hand side of the aircraft, we've never had to really deal with that one, but you're really not going to struggle with that type of thing at Melbourne Airport. I think your biggest worry, to be honest, is probably getting a splash on your head, because there's buckets everywhere from leaks, because this is very much an airport that is under construction. I think it's somewhere in the region of $100 million that they're spending on this airport to really revamp it and get it ready for, you know, future passengers and potentially other airlines in the years to come. Now, in terms of size-wise, I'd say this airport is maybe similar to a Leeds Bradford, maybe a Doncaster airport for those of you in the north of England. Yeah, it's really not a big airport, but what that does mean, however, is you can travel through it really quickly. So from us stepping off the plane and getting to baggage reclaim, it took probably less than 5 minutes, really quick. We weren't in premium, but our bags were still one of the first off the plane, which worked very much in our favour. Really short walk again from where you get your bags to immigration. I think there's maybe 5-6 immigration desks or so open. Straight through that, took a couple of minutes. So actually from stepping off the plane to getting our bags, to clearing immigration, to being sat on the coach waiting to set off, it took around 20 to 25 minutes. So really quick, especially if you are used to flying through some of the bigger airports like MCO. So here's a quick clip of us coming out of the airport. As you can see, there's a TUI rep waiting to greet us, and then you're going to have a few options when you get around the corner. So you're going to have coaches, which you can't really miss. They're right in front of you, literally 50-100 metres or so from out of the airport. And then there's also going to be a few signs up for Hertz, Avis, the other rental car companies. But again, if you're used to the selection you'd normally get at MCO, maybe just lower your standards a little bit, because, for example, the amount of lines of cars that Alamo might have at MCO for you to pick from, that is the entire car rental at Melbourne, and that covers all the companies that use it. So yeah, don't expect car after car of options, but from a convenience perspective, you know, if your bags come off pretty quickly, there's no queue at immigration, you know, you could be in that car and on your way to Orlando in 20-25 minutes. It really is going to be that quick. So that takes us on to how we're going to get into Orlando then. So you've got 3 main options. You've probably got the default option that a lot of people end up taking, and that is the coach transfer. We had an absolute nightmare with this. If you haven't watched our travel day, I'll put a link down to that below. But yeah, this transfer for us was an absolute nightmare. Our coach driver got lost a couple of times. They really struggled with knowing what entrances to use at hotels, which meant we went round and round, and we were also the last drop off, which I guess is just luck of the draw, but just bear in mind that it might take a little bit longer than what you've got in your mind. So having a quick look at Google Maps, you can see that it's saying it should take about an hour and 10 minutes or so from Melbourne to just Rosendin at Point, so somewhere quite central, International Drive, potentially where some of you watching now may be staying. That is definitely how long it took us to get to International Drive in that area. So I would say whatever Google Maps says, maybe add a good hour on to whatever you see on Google Maps, and hopefully that might not be too far out for us. I think from the coach setting off to us arriving at checking at the hotel, it was almost 3 hours. So yeah, if I'd have gone off Google Maps like I kind of did, I was thinking maybe an hour and a quarter, maybe an hour and a half. But yeah, for us going to Endless Summer, and so maybe if you are going to Universal, something to bear in mind that you may well be the last drop off, and that's going to add an awful lot of time for us. We went up and down International Drive. It was quite busy traffic wise, and yeah, to be honest, it really drained the energy from us, and everything we kind of had planned for that evening just sort of went out the window. But yeah, if you do want to kind of see more about how that unravelled, then yeah, check out our travel day vlog down below. Other option, or one of the other 2 options, and this is the one that in hindsight I would definitely be going for if we were to fly into Melbourne Airport again, and that would be a private transfer. So I don't know whether you can book this through TUI on the extras section of your booking, or just Uber, which is probably what we'd look into do. But it's going to cost you about $90 or so per car one way. but I think for us to kind of avoid the really long journey that we had with the transfer, we probably would choose to do that again. But I completely understand, and I'm sure that there's going to be lots of people who get the transfer, whether the first drop off, second, third, it's going to be really speedy, they're going to be really happy with it. And to be fair, coming back to the airport, the transfer wasn't quite as bad. It took us about 2 hours, but yeah, for us, I think we'd probably just get a taxi or Uber. The third option, which as I've just mentioned a few minutes ago, is that car rental. So all the kind of main car rental companies are here. I don't know how much TUI are charging, because we didn't kind of want a car this time, so I never really looked into it. But I would say Andy at Discount Florida Car Hire does some absolutely amazing prices. In no way, shape or form have we affiliated with him, we've just used him. And yeah, in November I think we paid about £600 for 16 nights, which is already pretty expensive, but the next cheapest was double that. So I'd say check him out, but my top tip, if you are going to look at his website, is make sure you send him an email, because for whatever reason sometimes the prices that come up on his website versus the prices he'll come back if he email you are completely different. So yeah, definitely make sure you email him. But yeah, in terms of the route, it's a pretty simple route. When you do get going, you're not going to see a lot, lots of trees, swamps, maybe garages. There's not a lot going to kind of happen on this journey. But what you will see, unfortunately, is about 50 minutes or so into it, you're going to see MCO Airport. So it is a little bit of look at what you could have had if you'd flown a different airline. So you've had hopefully a fantastic holiday in Orlando, but it's now time to head home. And from our perspective, we got the transfer back much like we did on the way out. So I'll start to insert a few clips now of what that journey looked like and the process of arriving into Melbourne Airport from the road. But yeah, really kind of comes into its own here if you have got that transfer of where you get dropped off at Melbourne. So as you can see from the video, where the coach drops off and where the TUI check-in is literally 50 metres or so. I don't think you could really get any closer to the door and any closer to check-in at any other airport that I've definitely been to. So really close and convenient. From the check-in, very short walk down to either immigration or the TUI Premium Lounge, depending obviously if you've got that perk, depending which cabin you're sat in. But immigration here, again, really simple. Took us, I think, a minute, maybe two max. And they also gave us, as you can see from the video now, an immigration sticker, so just a little bit of fun for the kids. And as you walk out of immigration, what you're going to see is pretty much the entire terminal. Again, coming back to the previous analogy of sort of Leeds, Bradford, Doncaster, it's really not a big airport. So in departures, there's a little bit of a news agents area. I think it's got some magazines, some cans of pop, a few snacks if you want to get those for the flight. There's a bar that sells, unsurprisingly, alcohol, but they also serve some really good food. So in a few seconds time I'll put some clips in, which will be a bit of a walk around tour of the tiny terminal, and you will see the menu for what that bar has. Now I think they just order the food in from a local takeaway rather than making it themselves, but honestly really good food. And then just on from that you'll see Dunkin' Donuts, and then finally after that there's another little sort of stall that sells sandwiches and again maybe some snacks, but that's kind of it when it comes to the terminal. Yeah, I think there's one set of toilets. There is a Connect 4, again as you'll be able to see from the video, just dumped in the middle of the terminal, so kids have got something to play with, but apart from that there's literally nothing for them to do. I think if I remember correctly there was Wi-Fi, but I'm not 100% on that, so just kind of maybe plan for there being nothing, especially if your kids are a little bit older than Connect 4 age. We, again as you can see from the video, took the pram, the stroller. Definitely doesn't need to be done, so unless you're actually wanting your children to go to sleep whilst you're in the terminal, honestly I'd just check it in at check-in and then not worry about it. But yeah, because the terminal's that small, it's really not going to be an issue if you need to carry them for a little bit or they're comfortable doing a little bit of walking. But yeah, I'll insert some clips now and then I'll see you for my final thoughts and review. So from walking off the bus to check in to the other side of security was probably less than 10 minutes. So really, really simple, nice, friendly staff. Bar and snacks there, Dunkin' Donuts, and that is the end of the airport. So yeah, not a lot to see. That's our gate with the laminated paper sign. And I think these two are still down here playing Connect 4. But yeah, I mean, it's a pain in the backside to get here. It took us from getting picked up at the hotel to get into the airport 2 hours. But once you're here, I cannot fault the airport whatsoever.
How you guys doing?
Hiya.
Good, how are you?
Y'all are welcome to take a seat and I can serve you right up there.
Chicken wings, cheesesteak egg rolls, here's chicken tenders which comes with crisps.
I want them crisps. Alright, we'll save them for plain. I don't want them.
You don't want them?
No.
Well, that's good because they're not for you.
There's some Mummy's chicken nuggets. Can we have some?
And then the final clip is just us walking past the laminated boarding sign and yeah, towards the gate where our TUI 787's waiting for us. So you can see there the buckets, the construction kind of site, the roof's missing, and yeah, I think once Melbourne Airport's done, it'll be really, really nice, but at the minute it is still a bit of a construction site. Okay, thank you. You going home? So final thoughts then on Melbourne Airport. Actually, I think it is a really, really good airport. Nice, simple, easy. Yeah, you're not going to have the atmosphere that you would do flying from one of the bigger airports, but actually it does exactly what it needs to do. The problem you're going to have with Melbourne is the one thing it's unable to change, and that's its location. So although I think as far as airports go, it's definitely superior to Sanford. Sanford for TUI definitely had the advantage of being a lot closer to Orlando. And again, when it comes to MCO, kind of being 15-20 minutes away from Disney, Universal, International Drive, it just really, really can't compete from that. So I think if we were going to fly TUI and Melbourne again, I'd absolutely be up for that. I think TUI were really, really good. Again, you'll be able to see how that service looked on our travel day. But yeah, it would definitely be with two conditions in mind. I think the first one would be a private transfer. You know, if we did take the coach again, it might be far superior, a lot more efficient the second time round, but I think we've had our fingers burnt a little bit with that one. So yeah, we're definitely looking at an Uber or a rental car. And secondly, I think to make it worthwhile, and I think it'd need to be a lot cheaper. So I think throw in a private transfer, deduct the money for that one, and then maybe, you know, a minimum of £100 each, you know, compared to what Virgin will be charging, in order to make me consider it. I think otherwise just the convenience of MCO, like I say, we've never had any issues. I think I'd much rather just fly into the closest airport, fly with Virgin. So yeah, I think that's the guide. If you've got any questions or anything about Melbourne Airport, about TUI, about Florida, anything to do with flying with young children, please feel free to drop us a message down below. But otherwise, I'm going to leave you with 2 videos. So the first one is just a 30-second trailer of our latest vlog series. So every Sunday morning we upload a new video. They're normally about half an hour of what we've got up to in Orlando. So take a look if you like it. Please like, subscribe. And then the second video is going to be our arrival into Melbourne. So again, you can see the coast, get an idea of what you'll see from the air. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
left the runway, you can use your handheld electronic devices. Please take care when opening the overhead compartments to ensure that nothing falls out. So check your seat pockets under the seat and in the overhead compartments. Any lost property found will be handed to our team at Melbourne. If you were given an additional seatbelt or life jacket, please leave this on your seat. If you've asked for assistance, please remain seated until all passengers have disembarked and will be able to assist you. You'll need to have your passports ready for the immigration authorities, and as a reminder, smoking is not allowed.